Welcome, my name is Matt, aka Road Jedi 88. We are getting into Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, Mace Windu mods. Mace Windu's. Um, so, you follow him from the Phantom Menace all the way up to Return of the Jedi. He also makes an appearance in the Clone Wars, Tales of the Jedi, um, TV series. He is a Jedi Master. He does have a purple lightsaber, which is a little unusual. Now, there are two different concepts about lightsabers. From the George Lucas era, blue lightsabers were always Jedi apprentices. Green lightsabers were always Jedi Masters lightsabers. Red lightsabers were always Sith lightsabers. When the idea of orange, white, and purple came in, some of the concepts and theories have kind of changed a little bit. Disney's also dabbling in. Originally, the idea of purple lightsaber was kind of suggesting a specific ranking within the Jedi Council. It was a recognition of the position in the Jedi Council. Um, Disney has gotten very much into the concept of bleeding kyber crystals. That's not a concept that was ever in the George Lucas era. It's one I'm trying to wrap my head around and humor and follow. Uh, the white lightsaber suggests that they are a force user but unaligned with anyone. That's what Ahsoka uses after she leaves the Jedi Order. Um, then there is the orange, which I believe is supposed to be like for like the temple guards, the Templars of the Jedi temples. Um, no, wait, that's the gold. Yeah, the gold is for the Jedi Templars. Um, the orange, like what what's his name from the Ahsoka TV series? Um, his was orange. His again, it was almost like suggesting as if he was not aligned with either Jedi or Sith. Um, Either way, Disney has really kind of tapped into giving more specificness of the lightsabers than what the George Lucas era did have. But they have gone so far as to suggesting that the green and blue don't have a chain of command ranking concept to them the way they used to. Because that was a thing in the George Lucas era, is that it was based in a chain of command. Blue was always the apprentice lightsaber. Green was always the Jedi Master lightsaber. Uh, Purple, whenever it was introduced in the Attack of the Clones back when I probably would have been like 13 years old. Back when that came out, maybe 14 years old. Um, it was kind of suggestive that it was signifying a position with a certain position, his role within the Jedi Temple or the Jedi Council. Um, but Disney's dabbling in on that has kind of muddied it and really honestly has made things even more unclear than what it was before. Really, I feel like it was a lot more simpler before Disney to follow the concept. There's elements of it that is still easy to follow. The concept of bleeding crystals is kind of like, with the rage, the anger, the hate, the dark side. When they go to activate the lightsaber, it affects the crystal that the kyber crystal that's in the hilt or the handle of the saber, that kind of affects the coloration that comes out. Coming out as red, which is usually always Sith. It is supposed to be Sith. Um, I really would like to spend a little more time trying to study the concept of lightsabers before I say too much more on it, just because of what Disney has contributed to it. But I mean, what I'm sharing here is about the best of what I'm understanding. Um, I remember, I know what lightsabers were before Disney. That I do know. It's what Disney is doing with it that I need to study a little more because like I'm trying to follow it and I am able to an extent, but then there's just elements of it that just, I mean, Disney just loves muddy and water, so um, I prefer clarity, personally. Uh, but Mace Windu was killed by Darth Sidious, supposedly thrown out the window by the electricity. He lost his hand. Now there is some theory suggestions that Mace Windu could have possibly survived. It was, I think, adapted into a video game. I'm not sure which one. Um, it is an interesting thought and a theory to consider. Considering a lot of anomalous situations that do take place in Star Wars, I wouldn't go so far as ruling it out, but here's one thing that does come to my mind. Knowing Mace Windu and his characteristics, just his demeanor, his behavior, how he is, um, if he had survived, I don't see him just staying hidden in the shadows, the same as what Darth Maul has done. I mean, I would have to anticipate him to, I mean, obviously do whatever he needs to do to get back on his feet, but I don't see him just quitting on trying to take down Darth Sidious. I don't see it happening, even if you recognize how dangerous it was. It just doesn't follow Mace Windu's characteristics to never to just stay hid in the shadows or anything like that. That's what I've understood to be suggested. If in the theory that he somehow had survived. That's getting into some of Disney's Star Wars lore suggestions, of which once again, I would advise being cautious about. I mean, Disney does now own Star Wars, and they can do with it as they want, obviously. I get that. But as long as there's a fan war for the George Lucas era of Star Wars fans, um, that's kind of that might be a fragile line to be crossing on right there. Uh, just I don't know. It like I said, there's not a whole like where there was clarity now there isn't, and Disney's the reason why there's not the clarity that there used to be. Um, but Mace Windu is a Jedi Master. He works with the Galactic Republic. He can lead, and is a fleet commander. So if you go to my first video in my mods playlist video playlist, I definitively, by definition, using the dictionary, break down the various different types of character roles as well as the different types of mods and their purpose. And I explain what it is we are doing when we apply these mods to certain types of characters. In this case, Mace Windu is a tank. As a tank character, swgoh.gg as well as the in-game tips both are recommending modding Mace Windu with health. But again, he is a tank, which means okay, he's protecting the people from within the squad. In this case, that's what a tank is going to be. He's a protector. Triple health isn't bad. You can even throw in defense. You can maybe replace a pair of health with a pair of tenacity. If you wanted, you could probably set him up with speed and tenacity, or speed and potency. It would allow him to be able to still function like a tank, but also have features of an attack character's role to be able to move quicker and attack. You might get this is one character that you might kind of dabble around with to kind of test out the mods, see what feels right to you. Because he doesn't. I feel like with Mace Windu, he doesn't necessarily have to be only triple health. You might consider having some backup mods in your loadout to kind of switch out with him, depending on the opponent battle situations that you come across. Um, Obviously, one feature to look at to kind of help determine this, not only just the opponents he comes across, but also his abilities. And his abilities are all about assault. They're all about smiting. They're all about, basically taking down. Those are all attacker type abilities. But yet he's a tank, which is all about protection. At what point does he actually take his tank abilities, his tank role features, and actually utilize his abilities that are all attacker abilities? Think about it. So if you doing mods is also an opportunity to do a cross training of his role purpose so that he can make use of every aspect that he is capable of. So yeah, I got mine set up with the triple health, but even I am taking into consideration tenacity, speed, potency, certain mods that generally coincide with attacker situations. So you might take that into consideration and maybe test them out, see how it feels. But Mace Windu as a tank character, that's Mace Windu's mods. For Star Wars Guys Who Heroes, subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comments, questions, suggestions down below, and thank you for following. May the Force be with you.